Good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Lettuce Solo Summit. We're going to give everyone a minute or two just to join us, and we'll be getting started shortly. Thanks for joining our panel on where the work is. We're very excited to be with you today. Let's give it a couple more minutes for folks to join. All right. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are, whether you're here in the United States or around the world. We're very excited to have such a phenomenal audience with us today, tuning in live to learn more about all the opportunities they can do to help improve their business as solos and entrepreneurs. Our panel today is going to be focused on where the work is, your guide to finding opportunities. I'll introduce myself real quick. I'm Heather Freedland. I work with Lettuce, and today we're diving into the critical question every independent professional is asking: how do I find my next great opportunity? Before we begin, I just wanted to cover some of the basics around how these panels are going to be working today. Each presentation is going to run for about 40 minutes. That gives everyone time for a quick break in between sessions without missing any of the content. As our speaker presents, please type your questions into the chat as they come to mind. We're going to be capturing these questions and we're going to be answering at the end. So if you see anything in the chat that interests you or that you want to vote up, please go ahead and +1 it or like it so we can see which questions are kind of popping up to the top of the service so we can make sure we prioritize those to answer with our panel. Now, without further delay, I want to introduce you to our amazing panel of experts who have mastered the art of finding and creating opportunities. And they've created communities to support other solos as well. Samantha Anderl is building Harlo to help freelancers find new clients and grow thriving businesses. As a founder, marketing growth consultant, and early stage investor, she's constantly advocating for independent professionals. You'll often find her sharing candid insights about freelancing, entrepreneurship, and goal setting across social media. Welcome, Samantha.
Hey, everybody.
Rooney Ezra Freebin is a community-driven strategist who builds products that drive retention and growth. As head of community at A-Team, she founded experts guilds to bring together top talent across industries. Her work spans community leadership, product development, and creating innovative platforms that connect exceptional professionals with meaningful opportunities. Welcome, Rooney.
Hi, thank you. Happy to be here.
And Ashley Grace Jefferson is the creator of F3, Founders, Funders, and Fractionals. I dare you to say that 3 times fast. A community dedicated to enhancing the startup ecosystem through strategic use of fractional talent. With a background in product management and finance from JP Morgan and Prudential, she guides founders through product differentiation and creating unique value in crowded markets. She also enjoys chatting with individuals at all aspects of their independent journey, where she can give and gain perspective. Welcome to our panelists today. We're excited to be learning more from you because today really isn't just about finding work. It's about creating a sustainable, fulfilling professional journey that allows you to do your best work. So let's get started. Rooney, you've shared some incredible strategies for finding client opportunities. Can you walk us through your top tips for solopreneurs looking to expand their network and find new work? And specifically, I wanted to hear more about thought leadership opportunities, community engagement, as well as how to strategically share our insights. Off to you.
Sure, thank you. I just want to very quickly open about what's A-Team because it will help us focus the discussion. So A-Team is a network of top builders, we call them, freelancer, fractional freelancers. We're talking about product, design, AI, and engineer talent. We have freelancers who have accomplished quite a career already, and we kind of form those folks into high-performing teams, and we set them up with really serious companies, enterprises, and they build products for them. So we have a very big community of freelancers. And this is actually not my first position running a community of freelancers. It's my almost 3rd one. And I wanted to share a little bit how I see things with time. So we really see now that the impact of content, it's not just about, writing content in social media. Everybody knows that, right? It's really to establish your voice in your domain. So like really understand where you can add value to clients in general and build and establish your voice around that. And you know, something very interesting is happening now. So we surveyed like 250 CTOs and AI leaders and, you know, fractional executive and leaders like yourself, Heather. And we found that 88% of them said they struggle to find talent in the traditional, you know, channels.
Yeah.
So where they find the talent is kind of where we need to like look and see how we can get into those spaces. And I kind of like, I claim that those spaces are now, you know, all over social media and like where content is. And I'm saying it's not just about like sharing your insights, it's really to establish your practices, best practices, like collected and curved time during the week to share that with folks. But that leads me kind of to the second tip. Don't do that in a void. Like social media is nice and all, and LinkedIn is a great platform for that. And it's kind of the base, it's a must, but do it in communities that matter, that kind of involve, you know, as solopreneurs or freelancers, we kind of, the easy part is to connect with other freelancers and establish your voice there. And I kind of want to challenge that and say that also in the same survey, we found that like 77% of those tech leaders say that they joined freelancers and kind of embodied their teams, existing team of full-time employees with freelancers. So we're seeing this raise of like blended teams really happening. And we saw that also 92% of those 250 tech leaders say they want to hire freelancers into their existing teams in the next 24 months or so. And what's interesting is that when you go into community that involve tech leaders and you can kind of establish your voice there, you can get those tech employers that part of those teams connect you to their work, right? To their job places. So what I'm saying is like try to establish your voice there and kind of get those tech leaders to hear you, to know you. So in A-Team, we have this great thought leadership platform for our experts. So they won't do that in a void. We kind of open our incredible reach of potential clients, and our builders can actually write like full-on pieces and in guides of best practices in their domain to basically our reach and our platform. So this is kind of how we help them get there, but I'm pretty sure that also freelancers can connect to community who have, you know, great newsletters and platform in such a high reach. So also connect and do it strategically. I have more tips. I see it as a holistic, you know, multi-dimension work that you need to curve time to do that. But I actually want to hear my peers here as well. So we'll continue talking about that in the next few questions.
Sounds good. Yeah, it sounds like, you know, one of the key takeaways is to make sure you're networking not only with other freelancers like yourself, but finding the right forums to really reach into companies where there's full-time work happening and full-time operators, and that you're networking in those forums where they are participating as well. So it's great advice. Samantha, as the co-founder of Harlo, you've helped thousands of freelancers find new opportunities. What are the most effective channels you've seen for independent professionals to build their client pipeline?
Yeah, so I want to start out by saying that I think it totally depends on where you are in your journey as a freelancer, right? And what type of work you're going after. So there's not always like one size fits all when you're a freelancer or a solopreneur or an independent professional and you're going out to look for more work, right? So if you've had a long in-house career before you went freelancing, say you've maybe been working in like a manager position or a director position, you decide to go out on your own, I'd absolutely start with your network, right? So when you think about the people around you, there's already that built-in trust and built-in authority, and you have their independent professional networks, and you never know how far those extend, right? So even for me, I've been freelancing for 7+ years now. I've been building Harlo. At the beginning of the year, I needed a new client, and I went out and I sent 15 LinkedIn messages to people in my network to try to get that going and get that moving, right? So that was to people that I've worked with previously. It was to previous clients. It was to friends of friends, right? Like, people don't know what you're doing and that you're open to work unless you go out and tell them. So first and foremost, go where you already have trust and authority established, right? If you have less of a network to tap into, which I know is the case for a lot of freelancers, especially when they start freelancing earlier in their career, job boards and newsletters can be really, really great resources to tap into, right? Especially the niche ones that are specific to your field. So at Harlo, we actually have both a job board and a newsletter to help marketers and designers, writers, project managers, developers, social media marketers, all of these people find opportunities, and we highlight the opportunities that are, most promising or are paying the best, or, look like they're going to treat freelancers well. Some other great resources and newsletters that I just want to throw out there. And actually, I know more than a few of these people are actually speaking at this conference in different sessions. Freelance Framework is a really, really great newsletter for writers specifically. Fractional Jobs is a great resource for senior fractional talent, specifically people who want to work with startups. Freelance Opportunities, another great newsletter. It's a great resource for marketers, writers, and more. And then I will just say third, communities, right? So I know Rooney's talking about community. I think we're all going to talk about community. There's clearly going to be a lot of overlap in what we're suggesting to you today. But if you really commit to being active and engaged in communities authentically, they can be really, really great sources of referrals. So what I mean by that is, you don't go out and join a community to ask for work. You go out and join a community to connect with like-minded people who are going after similar clients or building similar businesses in hopes that you can help one another, right? There's a give and take. I actually just joined a community called Dreamers and Doers, where I'm connecting with a ton of women who are building independent businesses, right? A couple of other good ones are Superpath, Peak Freelance, and I know Ashley and Rooney will both talk about their individual communities too, which I'm super excited to hear more about and for them to share with you. And Rooney actually touched on this as well, but taking a step back from all of that, the real trick here, regardless of the channel that you're going out on, is first deciding who your ideal client is, and then really nailing your positioning, right? Being able to tell the story about why you're the best person to fulfill their need. And when you're applying for new gigs and when you're going to these new channels and you're putting yourself out there, make sure that you're telling a clear and cohesive story of why that specific person should work with you. And I'm excited because I think Ashley and Rooney are both going to dig more into positioning specifically. So I'll kind of turn it over from there.
Sounds great. Thanks so much. And thanks for sharing some of those specifics. Like, I would encourage folks, please feel free to kind of take quick notes in the chat, share it with others. I grabbed a few, but if you want to add your communities in there, Samantha, you were going faster. I could type that time. Go for it. Those are great tips. So
yeah, make sure to share those out before the end of the session.
Ashley, you've transitioned now from your corporate background into independent consulting. So how has your approach to finding clients evolved since you've left your full-time role? Oh, Ashley, we can't hear you right now. No. We were having trouble with Ashley's mic before. I hope that's not happening again. All right. Ashley, there's a way you can dial in on audio. So maybe try and reconnect and see if audio works for you as well. I'm going to go to the next question. We'll come back to you. Rooney, you had mentioned the importance of consultation as a pre-screened opportunity. Can you elaborate on how solopreneurs can leverage consultations, even if they're initially free? And this is something I've struggled with too. Like, how much time do you spend for free with someone? Like, I've spent hours with people before.
Yes.
To then start building your own business from that.
Yeah. Listen, I really see it in A-Team's business. Okay. Like, I'm putting aside 1 second myself but really also at A-Team, we have this like sales cycle. And to be honest, if we're talking with enterprise, we're talking with like big companies, also small, medium businesses. And this is a sale journey that we need to go through, which a big part of it, especially with technical freelancers like we deal with, there's a lot of technical discovery journey before actually establishing the relationship. And I understand that that costs money for freelancers, especially because we're pricing ourselves per hour. But I don't see another way to gain like a big company's trust or small, medium business trust without walking them through the discovery channel, journey of like what we can accomplish together. And I can tell you from our little, microcosmos of like work is that we're seeing that we have this program of architects, which are basically our freelancers that we are joining them onto the sales call with the potential client, and they kind of consult on tools, on frameworks, on the solution. And we're seeing that those journey are closing with like gaining the clients like double 1.5. So basically we're seeing more sales that way. And we also seeing something nice that those architects, we pay them, right? We pay them if the client closed. But like we're seeing that 85% of them going on the mission, like the project, after consulting to the client. And why is that? It's because the client really, we gain their trust. And I think this relationship that creates there is a key to understanding like how to really gain what you need, even if it means that at the beginning it will be for free. And there's always like this little tension of game of like how much to touch and how much to actually expose on the consultation. And personally, from processes that I've been through as a community strategies, like I think that to give through like give value, real value through this conversation can end up like going a long way for you, because even if now this opportunity won't close, you don't know when this client will come back to you and say like, now is the time that we need to speak. So I'm a really big fan of consultation, and we have this program at A-Team that really showed that that's a key to success in gaining more work.
Yeah, and especially if it's a new relationship, right? Like if you don't have any prior experience, you don't have a network with this person, if it's starting from scratch, that's your opportunity to build. And then to your point, to sell your expertise, right?
Right.
So I really love that idea.
To be built.
Yeah. And it's a two-way street, right? It's as a fractional, like, is this somebody I think I'm going to mesh with, that it makes sense for us to proceed in the partnership? And on the flip side too, right? You're selling your services at the same time so that they're going to be attracted and want to work and learn from all that knowledge and expertise you're going to bring them. So I really love that perspective.
Yeah, and I want to add to it, consultation, very quickly, consultation can be also to a colleague or a friend or a fellow freelancers, because as we know, it's really easy to gain like a one great individual contributor, but it's harder to get a team going. And I think that once you have this, like other freelancer that really trusts you, they can also bring you into projects.
They can partner with you and say, I need your expertise on this work relationship with me.
So Samantha, also for colleagues as well.
Did you want to jump in on that, Samantha?
I love both of these points that you brought up, right? One, that the consultation works also for you to assess whether something is the right fit for you. That's so important. I know as freelancers, we get really hungry for new opportunities. I've been guilty of it too, right? We're like, sometimes we get into like this feast and famine, this scarcity mindset where we're like, we just really, really need a project, right? We really need some money coming in. But like spending that upfront time to make sure that it's going to be a good fit, both from like skill sets and what the project needs, but also personality wise and the way that you work and the way that you build your schedules, right? Kind of top to bottom, that time is so important. So I know that we want to charge for every hour, and ideally we would, but you can build that into your pricing later on and how you charge, right? So there's different ways to like make up for that time, but it's so important. And I'm so glad that you touched on that, Rooney.
I love that. I think that's brilliant. So you're right. Like think about long-term, make sure your pricing includes in it that buffer of time that you've spent really kind of bringing a new client up to speed and partnering with you. So it's a really, really good insight. Ashley, you're back.
Are we back? Can you
We
hear
can
me?
hear you. Awesome.
Okay. I'm not muting my mic anymore. I don't know. Like, I think I have a message that has to get out because, you know, the mic, I've never had so many mic issues in my life, but
we're good. We're rolling live. We're rolling with it. It's all
Yes.
good. So I'll repeat the question for you that I teed up. You've transitioned from corporate to independent consulting. How has your approach to finding clients evolved since you've left your full-time role?
Yes. Okay. So before I go into answering that, I just would kind of love of the people who are here. Are you guys existing solos? Are you thinking about it? Just if you could type quickly in the chat, just so I kind of we all kind of understand who's here. I would just love to kind of hear more as to where you guys are.
Right.
And while that's coming in, I'll start answering that. So I resigned from my corporate job. Oh, I love this. Okay, perfect. I resigned from my corporate job in May of 2023. And I mean, it was by choice. I know sometimes people find themselves entertaining solo by circumstance. And whether it's circumstance or choice, just know that however you got here is really valid. And basically, I had reached a point where after 10 years in corporate, I was just ready to try something new. I have a lot of ideas and opinions, and I think my bosses, for the most part, really tried to do everything they could to respect that and support it. But as we all know, there's always greater things at play, right? And so when I resigned from that job, I took some time off, and I would say my approach in the very beginning was just talking to people, zeroing in on LinkedIn. Like a lot of what I do now surrounds LinkedIn. And also going on sites like Upwork. Contra was another site that I was on a lot at the time. I don't really use those two like at all a ton anymore. But in terms of giving me the first couple projects to be like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. I know what I'm talking about. I can do this. I can pitch myself. I can provide perspective. And if you've had a corporate career like I have, you know that sometimes when you're in that space, maybe you lose kind of some of yourself because you're trying to assimilate to that environment. You understand what has to be done to kind of move things up the ladder or get things to completion that maybe you wouldn't have inherently done. And so those projects in the beginning really gave me that confidence to be like, oh, yes, I can do this. And now kind of moving through to how I have secured clients now, it's kind of happened in a couple of different ways. And then there's one way that I'm doing it that is like TBD, like I'm only a month into it, but I'll share kind of what I'm finding. So the first way that I really had gotten kind of pitched myself as a solo was finding other studios, venture studio, other consulting firms that had work that they didn't really have people to fill that client work. And so that was like a really nice in. That for like I saw someone post about it on LinkedIn, and I didn't have any warm intro into this person. I just DM'd them, and that DM ended up turning into a 13-month contract, and then the second contract's going on 6 months. So definitely keep your eye out on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to reach out. And maybe now, like hindsight being 2020, I probably would have made a list of either virtual or very local consulting studios and seeing if they needed any hands with what I did on certain work. The second thing was, honestly, we're all talking about it, community is really important. So I run a community. I ran a test in, what was that? The fourth quarter of 2023. I wouldn't recommend it. Like, I'll never do this test again. But basically what I did is I went to 3 networking events a week for a quarter. That was weird. It was not fun. I didn't have fun with it.
It's a lot of networking.
It's a lot of networking, and I'm someone who feels very extroverted, and it was still a lot. However, what that did show me is that like community, when used right in these networking events, when used right, can be really effective. But it led me to building F3, where I realized like, okay, I want to do more fractional work, but everyone seems to have this like really polar opposite like view on whether a fractional is valuable. And if we had more time, I would go into are conditioning on the 40-hour work week, but this is not that call, so I won't. But it really led me to create a community where this understanding that relationship building and having goals are important, they're okay, and they don't need to be in conflict with each other, right? Like sometimes it's okay to go to a networking event like with a business goal. And I know it might sound so, like kind of controversial, but I think that is what that is. But finding networking events that support that. And then the third thing, which I was talking about, that's like sort of new, sort of not, is I'm really leaning into LinkedIn cold outreach in a way that's not sales pitchy or what they call pitch slapping. I really don't like doing that. And so I was doing it a little on my own. I have a team that now helps do that. But really kind of leaning in more to that, like that cold outreach and not always feeling like you need a warm intro is something that is starting to prove value for me. So like from those outreach, I've been able to book meetings, and we're just in the beginning process of stuff, but that's kind of how it's evolved. So it started with the boards and kind of is moving into that like more active outreach or people referring in.
Love it. Thank you. And I love like thinking about even starting in the beginning with like, who's already getting consulting work and do they need an extra set of hands? Like, never thought of that one. It's genius. Like, yeah, reach out because you never know what you're going to hear. And like the other thing is just ask, right? Like it's okay to just say like, I'm open to this.
Yep.
9 out of 10 times you might hear a no, but you're just looking for the one yes. And that's good. Right? Like, so putting yourself out there, doing that type of networking, doing that type of connecting. I think that's awesome advice. Thank you for sharing it.
Of course.
Ashley, I loved one thing that you said, which was like when you first started out, you brought on projects as confidence building projects.
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing to call out for the crew here, because I saw a lot of people that, I mean, it looks like there's like a lot of longtime solopreneurs, but also some people that are just getting into it. And when you're just starting out, you do not have to have everything figured out. You do not have to know. I mean, we should think about like who our ideal client is and what our messaging is and all of these things. That will come over time. Sometimes you really do need to take on confidence building projects to understand what you like and what you don't like and find yourself as a solopreneur. Like I know when I first started out, I took on projects that were all over the place, right? Like I was a VP of marketing. I went into growth consulting. And I was taking on like SEM projects. I'm like, maybe this is what I want to do. I was taking on SEO projects. I was taking on content planning. And then from there, I moved more into like, kind of like the more fractional types of roles. But like those first confidence building projects to just be like, yes, I can do this. I can run a business as a solopreneur. It's just, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Take them, learn from them.
It's a growth step. I love that. Like you're investing in yourself the time to grow and learn. And even if you find out it's not a fit, whatever that particular project or experience was, like that's as important a learning as the one that was a really positive fit, right? Because then okay, next time I'm going to navigate a different way. Rooney, you want to jump in?
Yeah, just I really agree that to take that as an example, and also like this, you had a successful project, like try to break it out for you, like what exactly was successful. Maybe try to build like best practices out of this and create like a mini guide for you that you can send to potential clients after, or create like this pipeline out of this great content. I really think that it's a state of mind when you reflecting on your week, on your project, on your month. Like there's so much that you can break into relevant tips and content and best practices that worth capturing, and then also use that for the next few clients. Like show them, this is what I did here, this was the numbers. Like we ask our builders to write about their projects all the time, like refresh it on their profile, so we will really get a full 360 perspective of you as an evolving builder and evolving freelancer. With time, we want to see the growth on your profile. So yeah, I definitely connect to that.
I like that. Samantha, many freelancers struggle with consistently sharing content. So what advice do you have for creating and maintaining a content strategy that actually generates new opportunities?
Yes. So let me start by saying that putting yourself out there can be very scary. I get it. I'm sure everyone here gets it, right? And honestly, I didn't really start heavily creating content until probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I will say it felt really weird at first, right? But now it's just part of the game, right? And I guess that's also like where things were 5 years ago and where things are now. Like today, it is really part of the game. And that's not saying that you can't have a successful solopreneur or freelance career without putting yourself out there on social media or through a newsletter or whatever it is. But it can be like a really core component to your strategy in getting new clients. So if you're new to self-promotion or storytelling or selling online, I'd start by doing this. And Rooney, actually, you talked a bit about this earlier as well, but isolate who you want to speak to, right? So we're not just putting content into the void, like Rooney said. Like for example, if you're a fintech writer, maybe your content is for fintech marketers who might be hiring you. Maybe it's for other writers who can refer you into projects that they're not the right fit for. And maybe it's for early stage fintech founders who might be hiring writers directly, right? So once you outline who you're writing content for and who you're trying to reach, then take a step back and say, how can I help those people, right? So what can you teach them? What do you want them to know about you? What wins can you share that can help them? And overall, just like, what stories do you have to tell that can impact their path, right? So I just make a long list of all the ways that you can help whoever that audience is. And once you have that list, then it's time to actually start creating, right? So these like individual posts and these bite-sized stories. And I will say, when you actually get to the point of creating content, what you want to do is formulate it the right way. So you want to lead with a hook, you want to help, and then you want to sell, right? So we don't just post and sell all the time. Often that doesn't get a response. We have to build trust first, right? So an example of this in my week to week, I'll post hot jobs often or lists of resources for freelancers that they can benefit from. I will put that out there. That is my hook. That is how I'm helping them today. I'm posting this hot job that pays well. And then I'll lead into all the other ways that Harlo can actually help them, right? Then I'll say, hey, by the way, if you found this helpful, we also have a job board for you to visit regularly. We have a newsletter for you to subscribe to. We have an all-in-one product. We have a growth accelerator where we can help you grow. We have these workshops and events, right? Then we bring them into like the holistic story, but you have to help them first, right? You have to help somebody and make them care for them to care about what you're offering and what you're doing. And I know that sounds daunting, and it can be, right? It's kind of a hard skill to master, but once you really get into the swing of things, you can spend a few hours a week to really like master it and keep it going consistently, right? So for me personally, I typically spend about an hour on Monday mornings writing my content for the week, and then about 30 minutes to an hour every day on social, posting and responding and engaging and doing all the things. That 5 hours a week, once you're up and running, has led me to so many different opportunities and so many connections, so many people to network with, building out like my referral program, all of these things. So it's daunting up front, but leads to great benefits. And I know that finding new gigs and creating a new content strategy, these things are hard to do, especially if they're not like your skill set. I will say, I'm a marketer. So creating a content strategy for myself came somewhat naturally. But if you're not a marketer, I get it. It can be really difficult. We actually did just launch what we call our growth accelerator, which I think I've mentioned a couple of times. But these are kind of like one-on-one strategy sessions. So if you're struggling with something like figuring out your content strategy or figuring out how to build your referral network, we actually have these 45-minute strategy sessions where we'll help you develop that skill so that you can apply it later. So that's one thing I'll say and end on is that if you don't already have the skill set to do this, look at, there's 185 people in the session. There's 4 wonderful women here who have done it before. Reach out for help. It's not just on you. Like everyone here is here to help you do that and grow that part of your business.
Absolutely.
I actually want to add to it, Samantha, because I think it's so on point. I actually want to say, what, if you're starting out with content, try to find platforms like A-Team or other, freelancers platform that that there is, and just like reach out to them and say like, this is my expertise. Do you have a blog I can write in? You know what? I will let you in a secret. We're really looking for this type of like experts to come and share their expertise on our platform. So it's not like you're talking to a void like on LinkedIn. You know, it's so stressful. Sometimes the algorithm is with you and sometimes it's not. It's like you're actually talking to a crowd that can actually, you know, that have a wide reach, very targeted reach, and they have this like big marketing pipeline to actually spread the word, and you tie your expertise with our platform. So there's like a win-win here. So I really think it's a good idea to tie with like other platforms that do stuff like that and not just like talking to a void. Yeah.
I love that.
I also want to add to, so I know that for a lot of people, when it comes to like writing consistently, there's like an accountability aspect to it, right? So one of my friends, she's also a freelancer, launched a 90-minute write club once a week. It's free. If it's something you're interested in, just like DM it to me. If I can find my way to through the computer without making a lot of noise, I'll just put it in the chat. But otherwise, DM it, and I'm love to share it.
Awesome. I love the idea of the shared accountability, going all in with friends. That's great. We are towards the end of our session right now. And so I'm going to kind of share with you some really interesting new developments that we're launching from Lettuce coming up next so that we can keep this conversation going. Number one, first, a little tout for Harlo. Join Harlo for a focused one-on-one 45-minute strategy session where we'll tackle your biggest freelancing challenges head on. Get 25% off with the code SOLOSUMMIT or meet harlo.com growth/accelerator. And sign up for the Lettuce new solo challenge. You're going to get daily action steps and practical tools. So visit lettuce.co/challenge to get started. Honestly, this was such an insightful panel. And of course, as most panels go, we got so interested in the topics we were talking about. We didn't get to cover quite everything we prepared, but this is such a phenomenal group of people. So thank you guys for spending your time, your expertise, and your learnings with us. So helpful to listen and to learn from all of you. And like they said, please connect with these individuals, right? Like we're all out here putting ourselves out there to really be supportive and to help one another in the community. And so please feel free to reach out. Let us know how we can all help one another. And I love some of those tools and the tips that we heard. This will be available as a video afterwards. So if there's anything you missed, you want to come back, share it with a friend, you can go ahead and do so. Just log in again to the Lettuce website that you signed into for Solo Summit. You'll be able to watch the pre-recorded video afterwards. Thank you again, guys, for spending your day with us today. And thank you again to all of our expert panelists. You guys are so insightful. I just want to keep going, but fortunately we are out of time for today. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon and day. Take care.
Thank you, Heather. Bye, ladies.
Bye.